Okay, so in the last video, I noticed a mistake, a typo rather, on the navigation here. So yeah, won't make a difference because the background was already white by default. But yeah, anyway, moving on. So the next thing here is something again I've done a lot and I've seen a lot is being a little bit scared of the white space. So you'll notice we have what she's trying to do here is make use of the entire space of the website. So she's putting this content side by side. Uh, but yeah, that is not is an untied pattern, at least for the kind of content that is here. Sometimes you could get away with it based on the type of content, but if you think about the usage of this page, somebody will either be in a situation where they want to review the users, maybe search for a user, edit a user, delete a user, or come and add a new user. But coming and adding a new user is something that happens once and then they get out of that mode and then they go back to viewing mode. So putting them both side by side at any time uh, it's really not something that uh, helps the UX in any way, the user experience in any way. So yeah, normally the thing I'll do here is just remove that the form and only show it when the user wants to create a new user. So yeah, let's just remove that. Now that we're removing that, we can just get back to here and there. So yeah, we have that gives us so much more space. So what we're going to do is something we have some space on the left and on the right here. Tailwind conveniently provides a nice little container there. So yeah, something like that, and we're back. So you see, now the content doesn't feel so suffocating, I'd say. So yeah, moving on. So the next thing I want to look at here is this table. This table feels like a default bootstrap table. There's nothing wrong with the default bootstrap table, but we could do something about it. So the first thing I'm noticing here is she's actually also leaving some details out. I'm going to open okay, the form just so I can remember what fields are there. So you'd see the gender field is not being shown, the date of birth is not being shown. Maybe that's not important actually in this, but we'll see. The region is not being shown, the email is not being shown. Obviously you don't want to show the password, but something I would like to look at is the profile picture here. So I'm not sure how this data looks like, so I'm just going to do something like this. Any trick I'm having here to see the format of the data or data, depends on where you're coming from. So you'll see we have the EP thing here. It's also you can just grab the EP. So I like to do this with users. Instead of just saying full name there, I would actually have some sort of beta, something that is not straight directly translated from the database. So I'll show you in a second what I mean, if I can get that far. So yeah, now I'm just going to remove this number. Something again, we don't really normally need the number here. It's not very helpful. It's nice. It's a nice thing to do when you're learning about CRUD, but it's not normally something that doesn't provide any extra value, at least in this case. Maybe in some cases it would if you had like a social security number or something like that there, but if it's just an index, it doesn't really help much. So I'm just going to remove that row and get which will also give us a little bit of space back. So nice. Now after that, instead of just saying full name here, I'm going to say user, and then we'll bring that DP in here. So DP, if you're born before BlackBerry and BBM, is just a profile picture. They used to call it display picture in BBM, and it made that so popular. So just in case that was confusing, that is what DP is. So user DP, Let's see how that looks. There we go. Those are some big DPs. What we can do here is have a class surrounded, maybe with 6 or maybe 8 rounded full, which will make it a complete circle. And then you notice the pictures are stretching, so what we'll do is just give this height 8 also, and then object cover like that, and there. So maybe we'll increase the size just a little bit. Okay, I like to use border double here. I think it always looks cool with images. Maybe I should actually have a border in there. Yeah, let's change the border color. Maybe black. Maybe the black will be too much. Maybe should I say like gray 800 or 700? Just a darker gray instead. Oh, let's actually use the blue. Might actually work. Go the blue 600. You know, I don't love it, so I'm just going to move away from it. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that. Now, obviously, you don't want this to be the image to appear above the name there. So we're going to do something with that and say call this introduce a span in here and give it a flex layout and give it item center. By the way, if you don't know what that is, this is called Emmet. Read about Emmet, it's very cool. Saves a lot of time typing. So yeah, there we have it, and then maybe some space just to the right of the image. Okay, yeah, so there we have that. It looks a little bit more interesting, right? Moving on, what is the next thing I want to look at? I want to look at bringing some extra details. So as the user, we also want to know about their email, so I'm just going to introduce another span here, and we'll have a class flex column, and then span, and then introduce an email there. So yeah, we are just having more details on the same level. Now we obviously want to have some sort of hierarchy. Want the name to be more prominent, and then the email as this extra detail. So let's increase the size of the name just a little bit, and then maybe have maybe I don't really need to increase the size. You can actually increase just the weight. So that's actually another trick. You don't always need to increase the size. You can just increase the font weights to create that hierarchy. So yeah, I caught myself doing something silly. Okay, so yeah, next thing I want to reduce the opacity of that just a little bit to help with that hierarchy thing. So something you can use as your trick is use weights and colors to help with hierarchy instead of just font sizes. So yeah, I'm going to do something here, leading none. So leading in Italian is just like line height in CSS. It's a design term. What we call line height in CSS is what is called leading. So I just remove the leading on the line height on the name there, so that you can remove that extra space at the bottom that is not necessary. I am really wanting to remove this, to reduce this text size just a little bit. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better, right? Maybe imagine top. Do we have an item center here? We do. For some reason. Doesn't look visually centered. Anyway, moving on. So I think that is the first trick we can have there. I like that trick. Uh, so now you can see, instead of having this, would actually be how many rows? One for the image, another for the name, another for the email. So that will be 3 rows. But we've just by going away from the table design, because that's how the data is stored in the database, you can actually have a more compact table there. I want to reduce this margin, right? Maybe a 2. Something I've noticed people saying online is they think that MR3 or margin 3 translate to 3 pixels. The Tailwind provides a really nice scale, so instead of writing, of having to think about, do I use a margin of 20 pixels or 10? They have a scale here. Maybe I could try and show that to you. So if I can find the default spacing scale, there it is. So yeah, so when you see margin 1, it translates to 4 pixels, 2 translates to 8, or if you're using REMC 0.5, 4 will be a 1 rem. So they all start at at 1. Oh, nowadays they have a 0.5. I actually never use the 0.5. I think it comes in with the Tailwind 2. Yeah, so anyway, so by default, MR1 is just simply 0.25 rems. So yeah, so you multiply that by the number. So 2 will be 0.25 times 2, which would be 0.5. And actually noticing they're using 2.5, which is very curious. They have 1.5s and 2.5s. Those guys are awesome. Anyway, moving on. So what else could we do here? I wonder. That is very obvious. I forgot to put commas in these hobbies here, which is strange. So yeah, maybe something we could do with the hobbies is add some sort of pill shape. If you don't know what pills are, I can maybe show you quickly. Material design. They call them chips. Yeah, pills is a bootstrap term. Wonders. So yeah, you see this sort of thing is what we call pills. So you see, so something like biking. So I actually would like in our case, because we have biking as one of the hobbies. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to convert these guys into pills. How we do that is this. You just have a span here and rounded, and maybe PY1, which would be 0.25 if you remember the spacing scale I just showed you, and PX3, that will be 0.75 if you know your math. And then let's give this a background of let's say gray 500, maybe 300. Okay, so we actually want it to be rounded full. Okay, and then we want to have margins here, so you can do something like introduce a span in there with the flex and space X. Let's give it a 3. So space X basically is fixing one of the biggest problems in CSS. Okay, not a problem in CSS, but it's problem using CSS to space, where you'd have to boost. The way Bootstrap used to do it, they would have paddings and then have negative margins on the rows. That is why you'd always have to put your columns in a row, because the rows did some tricks there with the margin. They would negate the margin at the start and the end. Anyway, nerding out. Not necessary details right now. Alter, move on. Okay. So PX5, maybe PX4. Okay, I want to reduce this title text a little bit, maybe small. Yeah, something like that. And then reduce this back to 3. Okay, so yeah. So it's something like that. Hobbies. For hobbies, you'd have that design for hobbies. I'm wondering if there's any other detail we're leaving out. Oh yeah, there's the date of birth there. Maybe we could bring that in now that we have the space for it. Obviously, if you have more time This is actually something you could use, that accenting thing I was telling you about. So let's do actually add that in. So let's say PG blue 200. I like it. Maybe 100. Actually let's go to 50 and then add a border. Border 2 maybe, and then border blue 600. Maybe just border without the. So yeah, you could see how that would be considered smart. Okay, so something else you could do here is have that border, but now it's very noisy, I'd say. So something you could do, you can reduce the opacity of that border to maybe 25. See, so just like that, you've helped yourself a little bit. I think we should have like a 30 in here. Yeah, maybe 25 or maybe 20. So yeah, there we go. I want to increase that spacing X a little bit. Okay, and yeah, so maybe add a text color here. Maybe 900. Yeah. So let's look at the chips in material design. Yeah, I think somewhere close. Yeah, so if you're feeling adventurous, you could bring in the image there, because I know all of these hobbies have images in them. If you look at this, where is it? Oh, I forgot where I put that. Yeah, so you'd see the hobbies of images in there. So you could, I could show you how that would do if you had more space. So let's give this a flex. So let's drop an image in there. And then rounded full with maybe a 5, height 5. Again, when you multiply that by 0.25, I think it's 0.125. Is it? I think 1.25, 1.45 rems sounds about right. So let's see how that looks. We could also use object cover. So if you don't know what object cover is, it's basically a way to make images not stretched despite of the aspect ratio. So you'd see it doesn't really help our case that much, because you can actually not see the images. So I think I'm just going to remove that. But that is how you do it. So you need actually to have a negative margin here. We have a space of 4, so you need to negative margin 4. Actually, negative margin left 4. Just to put it on the side there. And then margin right 5, 4, 1. So you'd actually also need to do away with the border. Oh yeah, I think you'd actually have to do this negative margin y 1, 2. Yeah, this is not going well, guys, is it? Okay, I'm getting there. So yeah, that is how you'd get to that. Obviously, now with the image, you shouldn't really use the color anymore, because it just looks crazy. So yeah, so you probably would need to remove the background. Where is my background? There it is. Is that really my background? I don't think that is my background. Where here it is. So yeah, that's how you do it. But yeah, like I said, I don't think in this case it actually works, so I'm just going to, and you're costing yourself so much extra space without actually somebody being able to see the images anyway. So I'm gonna leave that without the image. But yeah, in some cases you could actually do that. Say in use a detailed page where things are in a column instead of this row. So yeah. I want to reduce the space maybe to 1 or 2. Okay, so this video has gone on too long. I'm going to stop this here and move to the next. See you there.